Back in 1820s, Telok Ayer was situated along the old shoreline of the Singapore River, and it was the landing ground for immigrants, hence attaining its name Telok Ayer in Malay, which translates to bay and water. So, what could this old landing ground for immigrants possibly be now? Currently, Telok Ayer Street is located right smack in the middle of the central business district in Singapore. Head up north and you can find yourself in the hustle and bustle of the Raffles Place business district. When heading down south, you can find yourself surrounded by the office towers in Tanjong Pagar. Given the congregation of Chinese immigrants back in the day, it led to a concentration of temples and clan associations in the area. Some of these clan associations include Singapore Hokkien Hui Kwan. There is also the Yingfo Fui Kwan, a Hakka clan association that is still in operation till today, and King Tek Wei, a welfare association set up by 36 Hokkien families who came down from the Straits of Malacca. As a landing ground for the immigrants, they seek religious solace as a form of appreciation to the gods. Apart from the clan associations, Telok Ayer Street houses many other places of worship for the other religions as well. Telok Ayer Street houses the oldest Chinese Methodist church in Singapore, which primarily served the Hokkien-speaking Chinese community. It was established in 1889 and is still in full operation up to today. Approximately 200 meters north, Indian Muslims who had survived the perilous journey from South India built the Al-Abrar Mosque and the Nagore Durga Shrine along the street in late 1820s. Currently, the Al-Abrar Mosque is a convenient place of worship for Muslims who are working around the area, and it houses almost up to 500 people at a single time. Every 3 in 5 Muslim men that were interviewed stated that it has become a routine for them to carry out their weekly Friday prayers at the Al-Abrar Mosque. Less than 100 meters up north, the Hokkien set up a simple shrine in 1819 dedicated to the goddess of the sea, but eventually grew out of it into the Tian Hock King Temple, which now houses shrines to several deities. 75% of the local visitors of the Tian Hock King Temple stated that their grandparents or great-grandparents used to be frequent patrons when they first arrived in Singapore. The Hakkas and Cantonese built the Phuk Tak Chi Temple dedicated to the earth god Tak Bak Gong. The temple has now been turned into a museum leading to the lobby of Amoy Hotel. It seems that immigrants of the olden days are bounded and stay connected to each other through places of worship where they give thanks to their gods. But in present day, immigrants as well as locals and expats congregate Telok Ayer Street for a much different purpose. You can find a Vietnamese pho restaurant next to an Indian restaurant that faces a curry fish head stall. 67% of the participants claimed that bars came into their mind when someone brings up Telok Ayer Street, whereas local and Korean restaurants came in close at 47% and 45% respectively. Surprisingly, places of worship came in last with only 40% of votes. 95% of Singaporeans, permanent residents, and expats that work nearby Telok Ayer Street claimed to frequent the bars and restaurants at least 1 to 5 times during a week. Only 70% of these people stated that they realized the close proximity of the places of worship along Telok Ayer Street, whereas a handful of participants claimed to have thought that these buildings were simply shop houses structured to look more traditional and give off a cultural twist. The only group of patrons that realizes the close proximity of these places of worship were tourists, as 100% of the survey participants who were tourists shared how they are in Telok Ayer Street, particularly to see these places of worship. So why do people who frequent Telok Ayer Street, such as the locals and expats, are mostly oblivious to these places of worship? 78% of survey participants who often frequent Telok Ayer Street shared that they are so used to getting to their usual spots that they tend to forget that such beautiful places of worship actually coexist in between the modern bars and restaurants. A handful of Korean restaurants and mart can also be found scattered along the street as there has been a high influx of Korean immigrants in that area. The manager of Koryo Mart shares how Korean immigrants and expats flock to Toloai Street as it is where they meet their friends and bring their families for a good authentic Korean meal. 64% of the participants, either local, expats, or permanent residents, claimed that they specifically head to Toloai Street for Korean food and products. It seems that restaurants and bars are the present way of getting groups of people together as compared to places of worship during the olden times.